Hey YouTube, welcome to the channel. Just wanted to talk today about how I essentially got a free house through the Brrrr method. And if you don't know what the Brrrr method is buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. So where we're at, first on the buy is one of the most important parts. I bought a single family on the west side of Indianapolis for $102,000. The initial numbers told me that after repair value, ARV would be $225,000. I had a rehab budget of $55,000, and then the projected rents were, it was a single family I turned into a duplex, so the projected rent value was about $2,400. So to break these numbers down a little bit, like I said, on the buy 102, and that was a little bit negotiated because there was some structural issues that I knew I was going to have to fix. I think the original price was 105, so a little bit of negotiation there, but overall the numbers still made sense. Rehab, my original rehab budget was 55, and this is where my first fail of the project happened. We came out to an actual of 67,000 on the rehab, so that was about about 12,000 over. It may have been a little less than that. I don't have the actual numbers in front of me. But yeah, I think it was a little less than that. But regardless, we had to, where the big fall was is, and the lesson learned here with the rehab is, I had a company come in and they did the roof. They did an inspection on the roof, said, well, this needs to be replaced, this needs to be replaced. And then after they tore it off, they was like, well, there's an additional $5,000 worth of work here. Hands are tied at that point. They explained what the situation was. End of the day, just because there's a logo on the side of the truck doesn't mean that they work in a professional manner. They did a terrible job overall. They also did my foundation. They did a pretty good job on the foundation for the most part, but they didn't do all of it. The quote from the guy was, you won't have trouble with this foundation for 20 years. There's already some issues that I can see going on. I talked to him about it. They're like, yeah, sure, we'll come out and fix it. A week later, they didn't come out. Messaged them, called them, they didn't answer. About 2 weeks later, they said, hey, I got more important things to do. Basically, take it as it is. So lesson learned there. I have to, vet my contractors a little better, which I feel like every day I'm having to prove on that. But overall, we put somewhere between around 67,000 into it. It took a little longer. We was probably at about a 4 month. Well, the rehab got done in about 3 to 4 months because we was splitting the units. Had a terrible time with the electric company. Still having a terrible time with the electric company. It's absolutely horrendous company. Because I had to separate the meters. It's been a 6-7 month process just to get the tenants to be able to put their name on the bill. So still working through that, but I think we finally got that pretty much settled. The utility company is so bad that they didn't even bill anybody in the host city for 4 months. Now they're sending people $4,000 or $5,000 utility bills. We'll deal with that later. But so, like I said, we turned it into a duplex. Downstairs is a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath, and upstairs is a large, 700 square foot studio apartment. Turned out really nice. The studio apartment rents for $825. The 3 rents for $13.99. I pay the water, which costs somewhere between $100 to $125 a month. So that takes out the cash flow a little bit. Got renters in there. We're stabilized on that. So the next part was the refi, which if you watched any of my videos, you know kind of the horror story I went through with the refi. Had one company essentially tried to just did all kinds of crazy stuff. Got me approved for the loan, but it just wasn't a good product. Luckily, I had enough experience to kind of look at some of the issues that you should be able to find out if you have any experience with looking at these settlement statements. Anyways, went on to another company that was supposed to close in about 15 days, took about 35 days. But with that, oddly enough, they took so long that my rate lock expired, and that's where they basically lock in a interest rate for a certain amount of days in case it goes up or down. You're protected with that rate lock. But they took so long that expired the day before closing, and they actually had to make an adjustment, and it went down from a 8.25 to a 7.85, which might not seem like a lot on paper, but it decreased the monthly payment about $60. So I went from about a $14.80 monthly payment to a $14.25, $14.30, somewhere in there. So it saved me $60-$70 a month, which over a 30-year span, if I take it out that long, that's a significant increase on my cash flow. So I want to talk a little bit about the financing, because we've got to the refi part, and I would say I got a free house, and it sounds really simple. I mean, it sounds really hard, but it's simple. But it takes time to get to where I'm at with my experience to actually get these houses for essentially free. So with this house, I actually been building my business for a couple of years, so I was able to get what they call a business line of credit. Took the business line of credit, used that as my down payment. And then with my hard money lender, which we'll talk about that here in a second, they funded the whole rehab. So between my down payment, my rehab, I was actually no money. The only money was out of my pocket was I had to pay. Unfortunately, I had to pay for, but not unfortunately, I had to pay for inspection. That was like $400, and I had to pay for a second appraisal because I switched who I was doing my loan through. So that's something to be careful about. If you switch loans in the process, most likely they're going to require you to get a separate appraisal for them individually. So appraisals can cost somewhere between $400 to $700 each time. So you want to make sure that you do that as little as possible. So go with the hard money. Hard money cost me is a 12% interest rate. It cost me $1,200 per month at 6 months. So you put that with about $8,000. So that's the cost of doing business. But this was all paid for through the business line of credit, or when I got tenants in, they paid it down. So that takes out of your cash flow, but that's the cost of doing business. So hard money lender, I got other videos. You can check them out about the hard money. So you got the hard money. I just refinanced that out with the DSCR loan. So we're all stabilized on that. So now I'm at a cash flow of about $650 a month, which is not bad at all. So there will be problems, there will be issues. So I take at least 30% of that 600, save that. I actually save all of it. I keep as much as I can in the business. I don't pay myself at this point. I do property management, so I will set up some things to pay myself for that. But right now, that property is basically, after I refinanced it, I got $7,000 back at the closing table because it actually ended up appraising for $235 instead of $225. So that was a positive that negated some of that overage I paid when I was off on my budget. And then also through that, I've recycled that money back now to where I purchased another property with the same business line of credit, still zero out of pocket. I'm gonna make another story on that. I'm over budget on that one too. If you can't tell by now, that's gonna be a common theme with what I'm doing right now. But I'm working on that. We should be listing that flip here very soon. So that's how I got a house for free. I mean, now it's cash flowing. You know, if you really break it down, I might be $1,000 or so out of pocket. But I used other people's money, the bank, which that's really the hardest part, is when they say no money down. It's no money if you're your own, so you have to find banks or private mortgage, not private lenders, and I think that was one of my biggest obstacles. But really, when it came down to is when I found the deal, I had to put everything together. So that's kind of what you'll have to do, is like, okay, so I know the numbers work, let's go out here and make this work, instead of the attitude of, oh, this ain't gonna work. Now, don't mess things up to make it work, but make sure that you use every avenue if the deal does work. So I knew that through the private money and then the business line of credit, that everything will work. So now I'm I'm in debt with good debt, because it's a cash flowing property. So I'm paying all that stuff back with the mortgage, and I like I said, I use the business line of credit again, so I'm paying still against that with that interest. So now we're at the last part, the repeat. So like I said, getting this flip listed. I'm currently looking for more properties. I just had a property under contract, a fourplex. That didn't end up working out. Some zoning issues, some maintenance issues, various different things. So, not all deals work. So on to the next one. If you guys have any questions about the Brrrr, I'm not an expert, but I will answer anything that I can answer. I'm just the proof that if you really do your homework, do your research, plan, have good people around you, that it is possible to basically get a house for little to no down. So like I said, if you guys have any questions, put it in the comments. Any comments, put it in the comments. I'd love to hear you guys' feedback on how you feel about the Brrrr process, if it still works, what markets it works in, how I can improve. If you have any information on how I can improve on not going over budget, that would be great, because I don't really like that. It's one of the more stressful parts. And anybody that tells you it's easy, they're wrong, because it's not. It's a problem-solving thing, so you got to put a lot of stuff together. I'm putting it together. The journey continues. We're going to keep pushing. We're going to have at least 2 or 3 more properties before the end of the year. So also, if you're selling properties, let me know. But I appreciate you guys checking out the channel, and watch the next video.